Let's move on now to this. The Taliban promised to allow a free press, but look at this. Pictures last week of journalists with welts and bruises on their bodies tell a very different story. Let's bring in Joe Concha, a Fox News contributor and columnist for The Hill. This is not the kinder, gentler Taliban we were told about.
No, I mean, Dana, you read these horrific stories of journalists, female journalists, being beaten, flogged, tortured. And after these reporters lose consciousness, these Taliban captors, they pour cold water on their faces just to wake them up, just to continue torturing them again. Yeah. The American press, the global press, everybody should be outraged about this because journalism is not a crime. And yet the Taliban spokesperson, with a straight face, he goes full Baghdad Bob, said that the government, as you said, would allow for a free press. And this must be the business-like manner that the White House was describing last week, the White House press secretary. Meanwhile, the reportings on these beatings here in the U.S. has been relatively scarce. And the danger ultimately is that without journalists there to hold the Taliban accountable, they, along with al-Qaeda, ISIS, they could plan the next 9/11 in broad daylight. And without the U.S. military there, or Afghans who used to give us intelligence who will never trust us again, those bad actors are going to find a way to bring the war here again, just as they did 20 years and 2 days ago.
Well, there's a good chance that some Western reporters could get back in Kabul soon. We'll see what they can do, what sort of access they get.
Hopefully.
I think the real key here is Tolo News. T-O-L-O. It's an independent news agency out of Kabul. They were started in 2002. Watch and see what the Taliban does with that organization, Joe.
Yeah. Because, again, if they're snuffed out, right, and that's a great point, Bill, the world's going to notice, certainly. And, again, they have to be held to their own words, that they would allow for a free press. Obviously, no one believed it, but still, that's the situation here in Afghanistan.
And it should
be on our evening news a lot more.
Tolo hires and employs female reporters. Go ahead, Dan.
Well, the other thing is that Antony Blinken is going to be on the Hill today. He's going to take questions, and one of the questions just might be about the journalists that we left behind from Radio Free Europe or Radio Free Asia. These are they might be Taliban, but they would be under that special immigration visa program to be able to leave. Also, this happened. MSNBC's Jonathan Capehart, he said that MAGA, of course, Trump country, is more worrisome than ISIS or the Taliban 20 years after 9/11. Here's a bit.
I think MAGA and the domestic terror threat is much more worrisome than any foreign threat we could face.
I would assume that probably in the same show, they talked about the worrisome nature of politicization and distance between Americans.
I mean, look, where do you begin with this? January 6th was a very bad day for our country's history. Anyone who was involved, particularly in the assault of a law enforcement officer, guys, should be prosecuted to the fullest extent of law and then some. That said, to even put what happened earlier this year at the Capitol in the same paragraph as 9/11, where nearly 3,000 lives were taken, were murdered, some being forced to take their own lives, is patently insulting. And there's one poll out there that sticks out to really underscore this point, guys. By a 60-38 margin, this is USA Today in Suffolk, they say that 9/11 changed their lives forever. This is people 20 years later saying this. If you ran a similar poll about January 6th, do you think that 60% of Americans would say that that day changed their lives forever? I doubt you get to 16%. So yes, it was a horrible day, but don't put two on the same level. Just no. Sorry.
Terrorists hijacked airplanes and flew them into our American institutions. World Trade Center, the Pentagon, and who knows whether it was the Capitol or the White House that could have been next. I mean, that's the parallel here. It's absurd, Joe.
And it's supposedly an intelligent person who has a column in the Washington Post and a national platform on another cable news network who's making it. It's not just some blogger from a basement. This person actually thinks that we should take that argument seriously. And he's not the only one, by the way. And that's the sickening part about all this.
Yeah, he was echoing the others. All right. Thank you, Joe Concha. Always good to have you.
Thank you, Joe.
Kicking off our week with us. We appreciate it.